Hey friends! Well guys, it's finally here. The end of the James Gunn's Guardian of the Galaxy trilogy, where we finally get the answer to several burning questions. Does it live up to what came before it? Does anyone still care about superhero movies anymore, or are we all just suffering from burnout? Should this be rated something more than PG-13? And finally, does anyone die in this movie? Well guys, let's get into it. But before we do, if you want to stay up to date on all that is going on in gaming and entertainment, please consider liking and subscribing, as each new subscriber gives me one more thing to live for. Now, on to the review. As always, light spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Let's start off with the biggest and somewhat most controversial part of the movie, Rocket's backstory, and all the animal abuse that comes along with it. A lot of people are upset over the animal abuse storyline, even though it is CGI. I am very much a person that has zero problem watching people get tortured or murdered, but animals getting hurt tugs at my heartstrings. And yeah, they were a bit rough to watch. Not gonna lie. I was surprised by how dark it went for it, and granted, I always assumed Rocket wouldn't have the most cheerful backstory, and from the trailers, I assumed seeing him with happy animal companions meant they were for sure going to be goners. But still, damn. I don't mind that they put it in there, and I think it really did serve to kind of drive home both the ruthlessness of the villain and kind of show us more what Rocket has actually been through. While he has been an absolute ass at times throughout the movies, the emotional moments he is a part of have always been some of the best for me. So I'm really glad he got this time to shine in this movie. Which isn't to say the other characters didn't get their moments as well. I do think this film did a decent job of giving each Guardian their own moment, though at times those moments did times stretch a bit too long. There's one scene in particular when they are trying to get into a car on Counter-Earth that spent several seconds going through how to open up a car door that I felt ran on a bit too long, even if it was funny. But on the other hand, there are beautiful scenes like the hallway fight scene, which transitioned in one long take. It was very nicely done and worked well to showcase the Guardians, their abilities, and just how they work together. And I, for one, am always a fan of seeing Dave Bautista's Drax alongside Palm Clemtif's Mantis. The guys, they are just adorable. And honestly, some of my favorites. So I'm really glad that we got more of that here. The other characters work really well in this as well, at least as far as the Guardians go. And I was surprised at just how much of a natural fit Nebula was in this, and how much I absolutely loved her character. I always sort of enjoyed her as a pseudo-antagonist, but seeing her now have to work off the Guardians rather than against them was a really nice change of pace, and I thought she fit in really well. I was sort of worried with them bringing Gamora back into the fold that this might turn into a Disney-esque Remember Our Love type thing, or her somehow going through the Loki experience of watching herself from the different timeline, and I'm just really glad that's not what we got with her. So, the heroes are all on point, but what about the villains this time around? Well, they pretty much wasted Adam Warlock. I'm not all too familiar with his comic origins or extended lore, so I have no idea how this compares to that. All I know is that despite being set up at the end of Guardians 2, he's more of a side note here as an antagonist. Granted, he's not supposed to be the big bad of this film, but it's still odd to just set him up in the previous ones, only to have his most important parts of the movie being almost killing one Guardian to set the plot in motion, and then saving another Guardian to end the movie on. Still, if the end credits are to believe, there might be more Adam Warlock in our future. A hopefully more mature one, though I doubt it, but we'll come back to that later. Instead, let's take a look at our actual big bad, the High Evolutionary. A man who, in his own words, stepped in because there was no God, to try and create the perfect species. Even within the MCU, he's responsible for creating several species, such as the Sovereign, the Humanimals, as well as the Star Children from the End. On one hand, I sort of like the idea of this villain. Someone who isn't necessarily trying to destroy worlds or conquer galaxies, but rather create them, and this destruction is just kind of a byproduct of his own failures. That being said, I felt like a lot of the chances for any sort of deep dive into this was lost on the film, and as such meant that I don't think we got to fully appreciate him past the whole I'm an animal torturing monster aspect of his character, which, yeah, is pretty hard to overlook in the grand scheme of things. While nowhere near as over the top a villain or fights as from Guardians 2, I do think that Chakudi Iwuji does a really good job in this role. So much so that apparently the actor is getting hate for his betrayal and all the animal abuse he supposedly inflicted during it. Which honestly is just wild to me. Congratulations, you did fantastic in this role, sir, but now we're going to hate you for life for it. Like, come on, guys. And I can't help but feel sorry for him. It reminds me of the Game of Thrones peak when everyone hated the actor who played Joffrey. I mean, the poor kid was just acting, but everyone detested him. But then again, I guess that is sort of high praise when you're the villain. The story is what you expect from the trailers, and aside from the rather dark tone of Rocket's backstory, there are plenty of laughs, good music, as expected from this movies by now, and a fairly straightforward adventure here. But one that I think most everyone will enjoy in one aspect or another. So overall, what do I think of this movie? Well, I didn't really know what to expect going in. I didn't know if they were going to make it more goofy or serious, if they were going to focus on the Gamora and Quinn angle, and honestly, I didn't know if this was actually going to be a hard ending for the Guardians, despite what the trailer said. And I'm pleased to say that what we do end up getting is a really good movie about a found family of just absolute walking disasters, each in their own right, working together to save one of those members against all odds. In the end, we do get to see a bit of a send-off as they each find their own paths in the world. While I have no idea what the MCU has in store for Phase 5, especially with everything going on with Jonathan Majors, who is or was supposed to play Kang the Conqueror given all the controversy, I can at least say that as a standalone movie, at the end of a trilogy, this movie does well for the most part. I felt emotion, I laughed, and genuinely enjoyed a lot of the heart of this film. This definitely feels like more of a return to form for Marvel, but who knows if that's actually Marvel's influence or James Gunn behind the director's seat. Lately, the Marvel films have been fairly forgettable, so maybe this will be the one that turns it around. Fingers crossed. Now, what's next for the Guardians? Well, if the end credits are to believe, the Guardians will live on, albeit in different form and probably with a different director since James Gunn is now running the DC side of things. Considering what all I've been watching lately, I'm really glad I got to sit down and enjoy this, so I recommend you do the same and see the possible finale of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's all I've got for now, Flanny friends. If you've seen the Guardians, what did you think? Did it do them justice, and was it the send-off you wanted for them? Also, if there's anything new or old that you'd like for me to check out or review or rant, please feel free to comment and let me know. That's all for now. Until next time, Flanny friends. Bye!